The allegations made against me in the indictment are serious. I take them very seriously. But I will not be tried in the media. I will have my day in court where the truth belongs. But let me be clear. It's an effort to distract from the work I've done, the lives I've touched, and the community I represent. Now, when I found out that there may have been some scrutiny in the application, I paid it back. I have one loan, $20,000.
That was the full 124.
I don't have 124. I paid $20,000 back. You're reading an indictment. I just made my statement.
The indictment was just released this morning, so there'll be an initial appearance, and we'll be pleading not guilty at the initial appearance tomorrow.
Absolutely, 110%.
Well, we got some breaking news we're following right now. Tonight, we've just obtained court documents showing Tijuana Brown has pleaded guilty to federal fraud charges.
Yeah, the former Charlotte City Council member first came under scrutiny last May. Prosecutors say that Brown and her two daughters defrauded COVID-19 relief programs, collecting more than $120,000 in federal aid.
Taking to Facebook Live once we broke the news of the deal Thursday.
I'm not making any comments at all.
But she actually had a lot to say. 28 minutes worth of comments.
Whoever thought I was going to prison? You're stupid.
So remember this person by the name of Tijuana Brown? This is the Charlotte City Councilwoman that was indicted for the PPP fraud, spending $15,000 of pandemic taxpayer money on a birthday party with a horse-drawn carriage, and then told everyone it was a political hit job. Well, obviously, she just pleaded guilty in federal court. Yes, guilty. The woman who said this is all political, who said that her legal defense was just getting warmed up, who swore should never take a plea deal. She just stood in front of a federal judge and admitted she committed fraud. Let's get into it. So about 9 months ago, I covered this story when the feds first indicted her. Back then, Tijuana Brown came out swinging. She had this whole press conference talking about how this was just political persecution, how she already paid the money back, how she wasn't going to resign from city council, and how her lawyer had no intention of taking a plea deal. They were going to trial.
The people that are watching should know that once you're in the system and you're given a number, 105670058, that's the number that I was given 34 years ago. We're never free. We're never free. There's a system that keeps us inside of a system. So 30 years ago, you could erase that. That's 3 decades ago. If anybody's looking at something I did 30 years ago, what have everybody in this room did 30 years ago?
Is that still the case?
We are still working through my case. I have pleaded not guilty, and we will leave it there. But we will have our day in court, my due diligence. I did say that I was pleading not guilty. I was pleading not guilty to all of the allegations that the FBI put out there in the indictment, that all of the people got to read, all of the charges that they put out there, but not to hinder anything that may be able to move forward legally. I'm at a not guilty stance right now. And that's where we are. And people will have to follow me, come to court, and see how this play out. But I'm very happy about what my legal team is doing for me in this case. I do not drink, smoke, use drugs, alcohol, never have a day in my life, ever. Since I've been on this earth, I was addicted to money. That was a problem then. The atmosphere, being a product of my environment and my zip code.
I broke down why her excuses didn't make sense. I questioned whether we should be electing people with serious fraud histories back into office when their past crime is damn near identical to what they're being accused of again. And I said if the feds had receipts, then all of the emotional appeals was not going to save her. So obviously the feds had receipts, and guess what? Those emotional appeals didn't save her. So let me show you exactly how every defense that she threw out there completely collapsed. 9 months ago, she said this whole thing was a political attack, a hit job to stop her from being reelected. She compared herself to some business called Hillbilly Barbecue. This was a white-owned business that allegedly got to go to civil court instead of criminal court. She made it about race. She made it about politics.
Now, on the other hand, that's Hillbilly Barbecue that has $1.5 million that never went into the courtroom. They were able to pay it back civilly, through a civil matter.
Hillbilly Barbecue was allowed, when they didn't pay it back, was allowed to go to civil court instead of criminal court. Why were they, a white company, allowed to go to civil court, and why Ms. Brown is here today? when their amount was way over the amount.
Here's a problem with that defense. If this was really just a political hit job and if she didn't do anything wrong, then why did she plead guilty? You don't plead guilty to a crime you didn't commit, especially a federal crime that carries up to 20 years in prison. The political attack narrative falls apart the second you admit in open court that you actually did the crime.
So David, what do you know about this plea deal?
Court records and sources I've spoken to confirm that Brown has accepted a plea deal for one count of wire fraud conspiracy, and she was originally indicted on 2 wire fraud related charges. As part of the plea deal, Brown has admitted to facts of the case, including that she spent approximately $15,000 of PPP loans on a birthday party for herself. Our investigation revealed Brown started a Facebook group called TC Collections back in November of 2020, and it claimed to be a women's clothing company focusing mostly on swimsuits. At the time Brown's $20,000 PPP loan was approved.
The second defense, she said, I paid it back. That was her main talking point. She said over a dozen times in that press conference, I paid it back. No one had to tell me to pay it back, so why are we here?
What I'm saying to you is, when I found out there may have been any discrepancy in the application that was submitted by a third party, I paid it back. That's not in the paperwork that you have, but I paid it back, and it was submitted.
The feds say the money was supposed to be used for payroll. Did you use that money for payroll?
Again, this is going to be for trial, so I've asked her not to answer these questions.
The feds say you spent $3,500 on a venue for your birthday party, $5,000 in catering, $2,300 for photography, a rented throne, and a horse-drawn carriage.
So,
what was that party?
Same answer on that one. This is not the time for us to try the case.
I even said this back then, paying some money back after the feds start come knocking doesn't cancel the fraud. That's like robbing a bank, dropping the bag outside when you see the cops and saying, well, we're good now. I didn't take the money. I brought it back. But here's what makes this thing worse. She claimed she paid back $20,833. That's what she was accountable for. But when she pled guilty, court documents show that she admitted fraudulently receiving over $43,000 in COVID relief loans. Not $20,000, $43,000. So even this I paid it back story was only covering half of what she actually stole. And she only started paying it back when she realized the feds were investigating. Her lawyer stood next to her in that press conference and said they had no intention of taking a plea deal. They were going to trial. She said that Brown's defense was just getting warmed up. And then 9 months later, she takes a plea deal. The exact thing they said they'll never do. That's why you can't take any politician seriously. I don't care where they're from or what side they're on. Most of them will lie. They'll do whatever it takes to make themselves look like the victim or the hero, whatever works for them at the moment. Think about it. Her defense got warmed up just enough to realize they had no defense. She's a thief. So she pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud on February 9th of this year. So the plea deal dropped one of the charges. She was originally indicted on 2 counts of wire fraud. So she's cooperating, took the deal, and admitted everything. She tried to say a third party filled out her application, a PPP loan application, like somehow that made it not her fault. But PPP laws require you to certify every single line. If it's in your name, you own it, whether it's a third party or not. She created a fake business called TC Collections, supposedly a woman's clothing company focusing on swimsuits. The business only existed on Facebook for 5 months before the loan got approved. There was no real business. It was just a front to get the COVID money. She used Facebook and Instagram to show her body, to show herself in some outfits to make it seem like it was a real business, but it wasn't. She submitted at least 15 fake loan applications between April 2020 and September 2021. Fake tax documents, fake income statements, lying about employees, lying about payroll, all to secure over $124,000 in COVID relief funds for her and her 2 daughters. Mind you, her 2 daughters got charged, and their case is not even done yet. Then she tried to get loans forgiven using more false paperwork. She double dipped the fraud. So according to court documents, Tijuana Brown admitted to conspiring with her 2 daughters to submit fraudulent PPP loan applications, using false tax documents and misrepresenting business operations, fraudulently receiving more than $43,000 in COVID-19 relief funding, spending $15,000 of that money on her 50th birthday party, the one with the horse-drawn carriage, the red carpet treatment, and posing on her throne, using money on vacations and other personal expenses, pulling money from her nonprofit bank account, Beauty After the Bars, which contained PPP loan funds. She admitted to all this in writing in federal court. The maximum penalty for conspiracy to commit wire fraud is 20 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. But here's where it gets interesting. She may not get any jail time. As a part of the plea deal, prosecutors agreed to recommend probation instead of prison time. The judge still has to approve it, and the judge can consider her prior fraud conviction from the 90s when she did 4 years in federal prison for bank fraud. Maybe she needs to take another trip back. But Brown is already out there acting like she won. After taking a plea deal, she went on Facebook Live talking about whoever thought that she was going to prison is stupid. God's favor is unbreakable. It's sad as y'all thought I was going on prison. She posted all this on Facebook.
Whoever thought I was going to prison, you're stupid. My mom sat on the couch. She watched WSOC TV run the story, run the birthday party. And here they go running the birthday party, which, you know, is sad.
We ran it because Brown has now admitted to it on paper. As part of the deal, prosecutors will ask for probation. It's just over $43,000 that Brown will have to pay back. She's told us she's already done that.
Oh, y'all no explanation. None. You don't know what me and my family going through. What this has cost us.
The thing is, she thinks she's victorious. She pleaded guilty to federal fraud charges and calling it a victory. This is the same person who 9 months ago said you don't lose respect for allegations. Now she's acting like pleading guilty to a crime is somehow proof that she was innocent all along.
I acknowledge some of them in this book, but my strength comes from God. My strength comes from being humble and having been through this walk already and knowing who you are and not being what people call you.
Let's talk about what's really happening here, because this isn't just about Tijuana Brown being delusional. This is the grift. Look how she's positioning herself on social media. She's supposed to be the underdog. She's the one being attacked. She's being defiant. She's fighting the good fight against the system. She's victorious even though she's pleading guilty for stealing. This is the grifter playbook, and it's unfortunate how many people fall for it. Grifters need you to believe that they're under attack. They need you to think that the system is out to get them. Tijuana Brown has a nonprofit. She has a social media following, speaking engagements, and some book on Amazon, all built on this redemption story. But when that redemption story starts to get exposed as fraudulent, what does she do? She doubles down. She makes herself the victim. She is a master manipulator. She turns a guilty plea into victory so people can continue to support her. But here's the truth. She's not an underdog. She's a thief. She stole pandemic relief money. Money that was supposed to help legitimate small businesses stay afloat during COVID. Money that was supposed to help people keep their employees paid. And when she used it to throw herself a $15,000 birthday party with a horse-drawn carriage and a throne, she wasn't fighting a good fight. She was committing fraud, and the feds proved it. If she really believed that she did nothing wrong, if she really believed that this was some kind of political hit job that she claimed, she would have fought in court. She would have made the government prove their case. But she didn't, because she couldn't. You don't mess with the feds, especially when they have bank records showing you that you fraudulently obtained $43,000 and they have the receipts of you spending $15,000 of that money on a party. They're not going to lose that case. She knew that, her lawyer knew that, and that's why she took the plea deal. That's why she admitted to everything in court. But of course, she's not going to admit that to her followers. She can't tell people who believed in her redemption story that she was lying the whole time. So instead, she flips it. She makes the guilty plea look like a win. She posts about God's favor being unbreakable. She pities the fools who thought that she was going to go to prison. It's performative and is designed to keep the grift going. She was the first formerly incarcerated person to be elected to that council. She did time in the 90s for fraud, came home, started a nonprofit to help women, and positioned herself as proof that people can change. And the voters believed her. They gave her a second chance. But as she was running on that redemption arc, she was also committing more fraud. The exact same kind of fraud that she went to prison the first time. Lying on financial documents, creating fake businesses, stealing money. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a pattern of being a criminal, for being a thief. So we'll see what happens with her two daughters, because they're still fighting their cases. They didn't take plea deals yet, and those cases are still ongoing. She ran for re-election while under indictment and got defeated in the Democratic primary. So the voters already made their decision on her. So we'll see exactly how much time she gets. But let me know what you guys think about this story in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.